Hello, everyone. Good morning,
Hi.
good afternoon,
Hello.
and good evening to you, wherever you're joining us from today. We are happy to have you on here, and we are excited for the speakers that we have today, the guests that we have today. As always, this series is really a chance for us to highlight those who are doing great work at the intersect of fashion and technology in Africa, and also a chance for us to highlight great work that's being done in this area globally to ensure that Africa is not left out of the conversation and that we're aware of the tools available for us to continue to stay competitive in fashion in the global arena. And with that, I am going to introduce our two guests for today. I'm calling them heavy hitters in the fashion and tech industry. Today we have Book hailing from Ghana. We have Echo Barnes and Percy O'Keen. I'm going to take a moment to just introduce them and then we're going to jump right into the conversation. So, Echo Barnes is a Ghanaian national and creative strategist with 5 years of experience spanning both fashion, communication, and production. This hybrid background enables Echo to operate at the intersection of brand strategy, creativity, and technology. He believes brand building in this post-digital world is about impactful, insight-driven brand communications and delightful, user-centric digital experiences. Echo currently works as a contributor for Vogue Italia and GQ South Africa. He also oversees creatives in Ghana and works with such brands as Mercedes-Benz, Emirates, Christy Brown, Haza, Chip O'Neill, and Diva Delicious. So welcome, Echo.
Thank you so much, Udochi. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, likewise. And now for Percy Akeem. Percy is a self-taught 3D visualizer. He works with brands to generate feasible ideas in CGI, computer-generated imaging, before they're put into effect. His forte lies in events, interior, exterior, and 3D garments. And with that, again, welcome to Percy and Echo. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, I'm excited for the conversation and the insights we're about to share today.
Thanks for having me,
So,
Udochi.
so let's jump right into it. So I'm gonna start with a question for Echo. Um, So the fashion world has seen some changes. As I mentioned, you've done some articles and some international publications, and it seems like there's some adoption of 3D technology currently happening in the
Right.
fashion segment. My question is, what can we attribute these changes to? Is it just because of COVID, because of the way the world is currently, or is there something else at work here?
Once again, thank you very much for this platform, for me sharing my little opinion on this topic. Um, I so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a meaning. Whenever I'm on a panel, I always say Africa is now because Africa it is now. So
Yeah.
with regards to your question about if COVID was the one that attributed to this whole generation of 3D, I would say no, because I think even before COVID happened, we had 3D illustrators and all that, but then some of them weren't really known because
Mm.
Percy, for instance, even before COVID happened, I knew that he was already doing. Uh, it was just, I think, a chance that COVID came in and people had a chance to now it looks like physically we cannot converge at one particular place to have a fashion show, or as a designer you can have a private viewing. So now the best way as a 3D animator is for me to do some online pieces where designers can showcase or maybe do a 3D fashion show. So I believe it wasn't necessarily COVID that made this whole 3D started, but also it also helped a lot of 3D or visualizers to actualize what their vision that they have for the future of African fashion. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. And then I know for in African fashion, Hanifer, even though she's not based in Africa, in terms of she has African heritage, she was one of the first ones that took it on.
That's
Uh,
okay. On if you could even what if you read what she said in a various interviews, she made mention that she had started this whole 3D, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It wasn't just when COVID started. So, like I said, there's been a lot of 3D visualizers. There's been a lot of people who are studying 3D, but then the Africa we weren't used to this whole 3D because everyone loves to physically see like a clothing models because that's how we get to have a touch of it like one on one. So I think COVID just really popped in, but like I'm not sure it was like because of COVID that made like this whole 3D buzz. Yeah.
so you're saying that it was already there, but it was just because of the situation now that helped it come a
Right.
bit more to the forefront. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that. And then for Percy, you are our resident 3D expert on the panel today. So can you tell us a bit about how you got into this line of work? I know you said that you're self-taught, but what made you become interested in doing 3D work, and how did you particularly start applying it to passion?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you having me here for this episode. So, how I started is a mixture of elements, right? One, from childhood, I've always been interested in games. Secondly, I'm coming from a background where I was in tech. So I had a development phase where I wasn't too happy about going to work almost every day. So let's say I do my work, everything, but I'm not happy about the outcome. Like whenever I wake up in the morning going to work, I'm not enthusiastic about it. It was just like boredom, just doing it for the money. So one time I was looking for out a friend's pen drive and I found a trial version of a 3D software, right? Picked it up and I decided to explore. Down the line, 2 months down the line, I figured this was something I really wanted. I started researching on YouTube how to get better at what I was doing, right? And delve deeply, like go full time into 3D. So I stayed home for about a year, right?
Mm,
Just working, just learning, trying to get all the softwares possible, trying to learn all aspects of 3D. So I started with interior. That's what I started with. Then I moved to exterior. Then I moved to events, and I moved to weddings as well.
okay.
And the
So
phase
when you say
where
you started
3D
with
fashion
interior,
came in was
sorry, I was gonna ask a question. When you say you
yes.
started with
So I
interior,
started learning. Yes. So I started rendering I started with interior decor in 3D, right? Then I moved to exterior. So let's say building before fashion shows, weddings as well.
mm,
Then eventually I moved fashion. But 3D fashion, I knew nothing about it because I do not have a fashion background. So I was talking to, I have a lot of friends in the fashion space. And a friend of mine by the name
mm,
Alexander Tomiyama spoke to me one time and says, "Oh, you know what? I saw this 3D software here, and I think you love to see it." So I took a chance, and I still didn't learn this. So I waited till I was still dawdling. I still waited till about April thereabout. So that's when I picked up.
okay, great. I didn't quite catch the end of what you said. So your friend introduced you to.
So my friend introduced me to the 3D software for fashion
Okay,
design, right? And I
okay,
picked up from started learning tutorials of YouTube, like
okay,
spending 6 to 10 hours
okay,
practicing it.
okay.
And that's how the whole passion developed for 3D fashion.
Okay, great. Everyone, you have to pardon us for the internet. We're doing the best that we can. We know networks are not always the best at times in some parts of where we live. So, but we'll do our best to pull out as much as we can. If we can't hear them, we'll just ask you guys to repeat again so that we can make sure that we're getting some substance from what you're hearing because what you're saying because we want to hear very well and get the most from what you're saying. Okay, so thank you, Percy, so much for that. So you mentioned that you were doing 3D for weddings. Is that right?
Yes,
How does that work? Will people actually,
yes.
what kind of work were you doing when it comes to 3D in weddings? Tell us a bit about that.
So okay. So for the 3D weddings, picture yourself, picture how you chandeliers you right want to use the sort of plates, the sort of tables, the sort of serviettes, the sort of carpets, the sort of grass, the sort of spoons,
Mm,
all factored in there. So this this 3D setup gives you a foresight of exactly how your wedding should look like before you
mm,
approach an event planner. So when
mm.
prior, so as soon as you approach the event planner, the person knows exactly what to do for you, and it sort
Interesting.
of puts the person, makes the person or the event planner accountable
Mm,
because if I'm showing you this have an issue. So when an event planner tells you I can deliver what you're showing me, or alternatively, I also design for event planners. So let's say
mm,
a couple wants to get married, an event planner approaches them and says, "Oh, you know what? I've seen your ideas, but I think I can flesh something out of your ideas." She places them together. She comes to me. I flesh it out in 3D. She brings it back to you for you to confirm your design before she goes ahead. That way is a step-by-step approach in between, like in the process, tweak from time to time. So it's exactly how you want it. And with that, she can tell you these are the resources I have available. This is what I can produce. So if it's maybe about 120 chairs, for 120 chairs, this is how they are arranged. If the plates, if they're supposed to be golden, this is how they are going to be placed on the table. If there's a bouquet, this is how it's going to be arranged on the table. If there's supposed to be a shopper, or if there's supposed to be a chandelier, this is how it's going to be arranged in the space. So you know prior to your wedding, you know exactly how everything is supposed to come out.
exactly. Oh,
You
that's
get it?
great.
It gives
Yeah.
people have very nice ideas for them.
Mhm.
It comes out very
Oh, great. I love
so
that.
3D helps
That
put it
makes a
into
lot of sense.
perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. I love
Thank you.
that. I didn't know people were actually doing that. I thought you meant more people were gonna be having 3D weddings, having virtual weddings. But I think what you explained makes makes a lot of sense now. Even though that idea is not too far removed from where we are now in terms of everything being being virtual, but definitely makes a lot of sense. So thank you for that. Now, Echo, back to you. I know we touched.
You're welcome. I actually tested it out and it came out really.
Say that one more time.
See, I tested that and the real thing came out even better than the 3D.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's great. So, Echo, back to you. I know we talked a little bit about Hanifer. Um, so tell us a bit about some of the brands that you've covered in this area of 3D, and maybe give us a bit of detail about how they may be using or what people who are doing interesting things, if it's within Africa or outside Africa when it comes to 3D tech and fashion. Oh, you're mute.
With regards to brands that I've worked with, I think I've done a lot with like fashion brands, but in terms of 3D fashion designers, only a few. I've written about a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Also, someone like Christy Brown, she didn't do like literally a 3D, but I know what she did was it was a virtual show, right? And we have a friend, myself and Percy. and Percy is trying to like do a whole 3D like model for his new collection that is coming on. So that's like one of our new project that we are working on. Maybe
Mm.
hopefully when it's out, we will let you know. But
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
it's a whole like span of like models being models doing 3D. Also, when I was interning at one of these biggest PR firm in Ghana called Stracom Africa, I had the chance. That was even last year before COVID. That's what I'm saying. 3D has been there, just even done on me. Percy was commissioned to design like the whole garden set, and I remember we did a whole 3D like fashion runway. Even though we didn't show that to the public, but in terms of the rendering, that's what he presented to the client. So that was how
Mm.
he got commissioned. So later on, I think he even posted on his page and all that. So I think with regards to brands, I've worked with a lot of brands, but the people are now getting used to this whole 3D because people really want to do physical show. But I love for the fact that now a lot of these emerging tech savvy young designers are tying into this whole 3D rendering fashion show and all that. So I think we have like a very bright future for 3D
Yeah.
fashion, regardless of the physical show. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you've spoken that there are a lot of people who are interested, young designers are taking interest in it.
Right.
So it seems like there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of growth. My question is, you didn't mention this previously, but what are the challenges currently for using this on the continent, both from the perspective of maybe the designer who is trying to use it, and also for someone like Percy, what are the challenges that you experience, and maybe some of the clients that you work with in terms of
Okay, do
trying?
you want me to also answer this
Yes,
too?
yes.
Okay, so for me as a writer, um, this is really very fascinating for me. So I love it because I love when like young people like Percy, we have Babwa, she's also into 3D render. Like especially in Ghana, we don't really have a lot. Even if we have, I don't know a lot of people trying to master into the fashion aspect of 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love it as a writer because I'm like, oh wow, because I write more on sustainable fashion and all that. So when I see emerging talent like these guys, it's really humbling and it's really exciting to see that. But in terms of challenging, I've not had any personal challenge, but then talking to like a few established designers, their problem is some don't really mind, but they're like, oh, I don't mind the 3D if it's just maybe the 3D visualizer just doing a clothing for me for like Instagram, that's fine. But like I want to make money, I want people to see my dress and all that. So I think that's their little challenge. But when we were all forced to be at home, they had no choice than doing a virtual show and all that. And I remember one client reached out to me asking, is it possible to get Percy to do a 3D rendering for him? But I think it was too late because she had already brought out the collection and all that. But because she's using like a season and all that to launch a collection, she had to be fast about it. So I think challenges, I mean, every career, everything that we do, there's that sort of a low challenge, but with the right gadget, or I don't know how a person will say, maybe because I'm not a 3D person, with the right like 3D stuff, if he like a lot of these 3D guys are being supported by even the government, like investors, we can have like a whole center that can cater for these things. Then we'll have like more people doing this. So yeah.
Okay, very good. How
Okay.
about you, Percy?
Yeah, just to add to what Echo said, right? So, the issue right now is the reason why most designers are not using it is because they don't see the need to, or most people look at 3D from a case of marketing, which is actually wrong, right? It should be a part of the process because the thing is 3D is a sustainable tool, right? Because one physical samples are reduced. We are conserving water as well. You get it. So let's say in a process where you're not utilizing 3D, that means you settle on a particular design you want. And that's wasteful resource. That's something which could be put into something else, as opposed to just fleshing it out several times till you finally get it. 3D could help you do that. It could help you speculate your future collection. It could even help you go into the past and disintegrate your previous collection, flesh out certain designs, bring them back together. It gives room for innovation with even your pieces, because you wouldn't waste time in 3D to produce something which is um, is which you would easily find on the streets, because you want something unique out of it. So 3D in essence even pushes your innovation as a brand,
Mm,
right? So the other issue is the fact that most designers feel so far as it's on a PC, it's supposed to be quick. You are supposed to get it
mm,
as soon as maybe I commission you. I'm supposed to get it maybe in a couple of days, but it's not like that. It takes time.
yeah,
In as much
yeah,
it could take as much time as making the measurements of who your potential client is and factor it into the avatar. I need to take
mm,
your pattern drafts. I need to take in your swatches. I need to get the right texture of fabrics and splash
mm,
it on there for visual visual effect. I need to make sure it's realistic enough, because this is what you are looking to sell via normal platform, via e-commerce, and so
yeah,
on and so forth. So it needs to come out really, really, really well. But most designers feel so far as it's on the PC, hey, I need it quickly. So can you deliver? Can you not deliver? And the other issue too is, since they think it's computerized, it shouldn't be expensive. They don't see the need for it to be pricey. But the situation is 3D softwares are quite expensive, right? So to be able to get your finished renders, to be able to get high quality renders, you need to put in a lot into softwares. You need to put a lot into research to be able to produce quality stuff, which is convincing enough to
yeah,
um to get customers to buy from me. Because for the longest time we've been used to the fact, most majority of consumers are used to the fact that so far as I can see, I can buy. So right now, if you're taking the whole site from me and you're giving me 3D, it should be something very close to reality. If not, I wouldn't be convinced to buy. You get it? So designers need to
yeah,
understand, getting 3D garments on the market, high quality, high rendered 3D garments on the market should takes time. And if imagine a brand like Christy Brown had a 3D rendered version of almost all their collections, they could sell on 3D websites where animators or animation studios could purchase these 3D assets and utilize them in
mm,
animations. So
mm,
technically, it's multiple streams of income. You're making money physically by selling to ready to order to clients. At the same time, you're also making money virtually. And 3D, the other thing is 3D garments do not expire. They do not expire. So you could use them today, you could use them in the next 10 years, you could use them in the next 15. You could flesh out designs out of them, you could play with them over time.
awesome. I like that. I really like that. I think that was one of the things I was actually going to ask about. I like that you touched on price points. I know that's usually a concern with almost all business dealings. How much is it going to cost me? Is it worth it? And I think from what you're saying is that
Yeah.
it's not going to be inexpensive, but the rewards are worth it because it helps with your innovation as a brand. It opens you up to different lines of income. And it also helps with the longevity of your designs. So that definitely makes a lot of sense. So I know you talked a little bit about the process for creating the 3D designs.
Yeah.
Uh, can you give us a bit more
Okay.
detail about that in terms of what
Okay.
the
So
steps are, so we can actually understand what it takes to get the images that we see that seem so easy to come about.
okay, so first of all, it depends on what scope we are looking at, right? So one, if you're looking at just making a simple 3D render, that means you just need your swatches, you just need your pattern drafts, you just need your measurements for which you just need a measurement of a potential client to be able to factor it in the 3D avatar to make sure that whatever you're producing in 3D can be churned out realistically, right? Because you wouldn't want to deceive consumers as well. You want it to be realistically for you as well. So if it's just it's a basic garment, I just ask you to send over your sketches, your flat sketches. If possible, if you can share your pattern draft with me as well, or I could create it from scratch using maybe just freehand or from the body's block, so it's out of it makes it easier, right? But if it's geared towards a 3D animation, maybe you want to design something around the maybe culture. What the first thing I'll do is to delve into the culture just so we don't culturally misappropriate. Because sometimes you could do something out there, it's really nice, but culturally it doesn't sit well with the people. So that means one, you've lost. You as a designer, the money is squashed. This so you'd have to go back to the drawing board, flesh something. And sometimes people even um, cancel your brand because you didn't you weren't you didn't do your due diligence prior to that project, right? So I try my possible best to do that deep dive research for the brand just so you know you're on the so I use software. Ideally, I use Marvelous Designer for starters. It's a fashion tool, right? It's a cloth tool. So I just pan out the design in Marvelous Designer. After that, I tend to get. It depends on what software I might want to use to texture. So sometimes I might use a software by name Substance Painter for texturing. And for renders, for realistic renders, you could stick to Flow for realistic renders. So let's say if you're using a cloth tool such as Flow, you could render in Flow 3D. But if you want to capture the movements properly of the animated figure, I would recommend Marvelous Designer because it captures the fluid movement very
Mhm.
well. So for Marvelous Designer, you pick up the file, maybe it's Alembic or maybe it's FBX, right? That's the file extension. You pick it to a free software, um, a free software, or you could take it into Cinema 4D or
Mhm.
3ds Max. Those are also rendering software. So over there, you can tweak the design much more. You could build environments. For environments, I use Google SketchUp.
Okay.
So Google SketchUp helps for very cuboid, square-shaped movements as opposed to plotwork. So it's more like an architectural software. So let's say
Mhm.
if I want to design a concept where the outfit is working in the market, I would design the outfits in Flow 3D, but I would design the market in Google SketchUp. And
Okay.
eventually I'll bring it to Cinema 4D or 3ds Max and render them together. So
Okay.
that's where I add visual effects, that's where I add the sound. And the last bit of it is I take it into Premiere Pro. That's an video editing software because one thing is you could design a very nice garment in Flow 3D, but the presentation towards to the public isn't appealing or it's not eye-catching. So you use Premiere Pro to do the final touches for the particular video before giving it to the client.
Yeah. Okay, very nice. So it sounds very extensive, right from the research
Yeah.
to the actual process of animation and everything. You're very much kind of involved and hands-on. So it's a very extensive process. Um,
Yeah.
sounds great. So just a couple of more questions as we look to wrap up. So I don't keep you guys too long. Um, I know we've talked a little bit about some of the things that people are doing with 3D in fashion in Africa. We've talked a bit about how it opens people up to different streams of income. But my question is, if you can think a little bit bigger, a bit broader, what do you think the impact can be for African fashion, for our industry in particular, using this technology? Echo, maybe we'll start with you.
Okay, with impact, I think it's money generation for emerging talent because
Mhm.
now it, investors outside, I mean, 3D, like I said, it's been there since and people have been studying it outside.
Yeah.
But maybe in Africa, like we weren't really used to all these. So if the impact now is going to be made is a lot of investors or even the government can factor this into their whole budgeting or they even have a center where they can train people
Mm,
because imagine we have a lot of these 3D designers. Every designer will have like what a 3D what not even a show but like before you have your lookbook there should be some people who even if they're not going to come down there should be some people watching what your designs online, just going through into a virtual room and all that. So I think the impact is really going to be like very major in Africa, and we are really embracing it because aside Anifa, I saw there's this Kenyan designer, Ayam.
Anyama Pianga something. Piango. Yes. We just lose Echo. You still there? Okay, well, he comes back. Maybe Percy, we can go with you if you have any thoughts as to kind of what the larger impact, potential impact of this can be for African position.
Okay. Personally, I feel there's a paradigm shift, right? And Africans will be at the forefront, but we need to take charge to flesh out anything you think about. So with 3D, we could go back into the past. Let's say in Ghana, we could go back into maybe the 18th, maybe after colonial times. What sort
Yeah.
of style we have, and experiment with the styles in 3D. Sometimes we look at pictures and stuff, but imagine this same concept was fleshed out in 3D. We have a much more realistic approach. We could flesh out designs. We could turn our story around. We could use this to tell even our stories much more. In terms of 3D animations, we could put them out there as opposed to just selling clothes. So we could sell clothes with stories, and indirectly we are also teaching our people, because sometimes a lot of stories are lost based on the fact you can't get access to archives or files. Our grandmothers, our forefathers, we could flesh them out into 3D and to pan them out into something different.
I love that. I love that. That's something I hadn't thought about before. How we can actually retell our own stories and tell them the right way, and also just revisit our history and explore so many things that were not explored properly because of our past. So I love that concept. Echo, are you back now with us?
Guys, I'm so sorry. I think my network just went off.
It's not your problem. Don't worry. It's not you. I'm not sure
Forgive
if
me.
you want to add anything else.
Yeah, so like with regards to what I was saying I don't think like 3D is going to be like a temporary thing. So the impact is really going to make us a lot of what we are going to have, like a lot of emerging talent trying to learn this and even more, because aside this whole fashion show, there are other things. Because I know sometimes when I'm with Percy, he can go like, oh, even with these shoots, we can do a whole pre-work styling before the main shoot. So it's not just about fashion show in terms of even styling, like how, let's say, before
Seems to have lost him again. Okay. So
Just to add up to what he said,
okay, go ahead.
to add up to what he was saying. Okay, so 3D, I see 3D as a tool to augment elements in the fashion industry, right? Let's pick one, styling, a stylist. So I work hand in hand with the stylist because one, I might flesh out the design in 3D, but they are not cohesive. So maybe I might want to pair a particular top with a particular pants, but they are not cohesive. Like if I show that to you, it's not something anyone would want to wear or majority would want to wear. So I have to work hand in hand with the stylist to tell me, oh, if you're working with this checkered shirt, maybe you should move with this black pants, or you should move with this short skirt. Thereby, the stylist isn't just earning, let's say, earning wages just like in reality. The person could also earn money better. And also stylists could also look at this as fleshing out a whole styling piece or styling album for a particular client based on their
Yeah.
fashion sense. So let's say you, Udo, you have a particular way you like to dress, right? I could work hand in hand with the stylist. We could forecast trends for you for the entire year. So maybe if you give that particular style to a designer, the person knows this is Udo's style and this is what I'm fleshing out for the rest of the year. Okay, check, and on the other side too, it could also be used to also augment models. Because I believe if you're creating like if you're a 3D designer, you shouldn't create a 3D character from scratch. I would create a 3D character who's existent in the real world, right?
Mm,
Because one, if you do that, you are defunding them. You are taking their wages from them
from
because
them.
right now they are not moving around as well.
Mhm.
So how are they also making money? But if they are supposed to visualize them in 3D as well, they could be at multiple shows in 3D and still be earning money. So let's say if I'm a model, I could be maybe working at Lagos Fashion Week, but at the same time I'm in Paris Fashion Week, I'm in New York Fashion Week, all in
Yeah.
3D or in AR. And
I
that's
love.
most streams of income for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people are on the fence with 3D because characters are just created out of space as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
characters from
Based
physical
in
people.
a reality. I love that. Love that. So true. So what about you? Do you want to add anything else before your
Oh,
internet?
before with what he models, because I'm not about to mention names, but like you remember there was this whole fight on Instagram where one particular photographer was using like made like a whole 3D of a black woman, and
Yeah.
people were like, in as much as it was nicer, it wasn't someone. At some point, I thought the person was real until I was like, oh wow, this is a 3D. Like, did I say toy? That was how I said. With what Percy is saying about if I've been a model before, so imagine now me
Mm,
going into right, someone can just create a 3D render of me and
yeah.
ending like how now automation has been made like how do I call it? How do in a museum where he still money is still being made under him. Every earnings that people who go to the museum and all that, the earnings that come, they give it to him. So aside you doing a physical show, there
Yeah.
could be models who are still rendered in 3D and still will be earning more cash. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I
Exactly.
think there's that sort of sustenance to it's not just oh we are just coming to destroy every physical show, but like
Mhm.
there's that sort of 50-50 hand in hand, 3D
Exactly.
a little bit and also a little bit of what the fashion show. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Great. I love it. These were great insights. Thank you guys so much. I think you guys have really shared so much with us. I know I took away quite a bit, has really helped me with my own understanding of 3D and the fashion industry and also just other industries altogether. So thank you guys for taking the time. Um, and for those who are watching us, feel free to come back. This video will be posted on the Business Day YouTube channel. So feel free to come back and watch it again. And also share with others so that they can also gain and be a part of the insights that were shared today. And I wish you all a happy holiday or happy holiday period and look forward to having you guys join us again in future for more of these discussions as we shed light on the area of fashion and technology in Africa.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you
Josie,
guys.
for having us for
Thank you.
letting
You
us
guys
share
were great.
our little ideas on this. It's
Yeah.
really humbling, yeah, it's really humbling and keep it up. Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Hopefully
Thank you guys.
catch up again as in post COVID and what 3 days also doing now.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you guys. Thank you, Echo. Thank you, Percy. You guys are really rising stars, already stars, and I look forward to hearing more about what you guys are doing in the industry in future. Yeah.
Stay
Take care.
blessed. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy
Bye.
holiday.